I'm glad to have you one more time at the Manifested E-Learning platform. Today marks the end of the topic on citizen participation and development planning. The subject is public governance, policy and administration. So far from subtopic number one, we've covered the concept of civic education and public participation. Subtopic 2, we did the rationale for public participation. Number 3 is the legal framework for public participation. Number 4 is the principles of public participation. We went through the establishment of modalities and platforms of citizen participation. Subtopic number 6 is strategies for optimizing stakeholder engagement. Then in our last session, we covered the benefits of public participation in government decision making. Today, we move to the challenges of public participation. What are the challenges of public participation? The first challenge is tokenism. One, tokenism. What do we mean by tokenism? Participation is often held merely to satisfy legal and procedural requirements rather than to genuinely shape decisions. And officials go through the motions of consultation while the real decision has already been made, thereby reducing citizens' input to a formality rather than it reduces the citizens' input to a formality that legitimizes a predetermined outcome. That is what you are referring to as tokenism. It can also be known as participation washing. That is the first challenge, tokenism. The second challenge is elite capture. Elite capture. Now, how is the elite capture a challenge of public participation? Now, there are times when we have dominant, well-resourced, or politically connected individuals who tend to overshadow ordinary or marginalized voices in public forums. If you have attended one of these public participation forums, you find that there are individuals who are well connected politically, there are those who are well resourced, they are respected in society. When they stand to speak, no one seems to challenge them, and that is a challenge. And those with better education and confidence in public speaking, or even existing relationship with the officials, often monopolize discussion, while the poor, the women, the youth, and persons with disabilities often remain silent or unheard even when they are physically present. That's what we are referring to as elite capture. The third challenge of public participation is poor time engagement. Poor time engagement is also a challenge because consultations are frequently held too late in the process. It could be maybe after budgets are set, designs are finalized, bills are drafted, leaving citizens to react to fixed proposals rather than genuinely influence them. And this turns participation into a rubber stamping exercise instead of a real input into decision making. Poor time engagement. Number 4, the fourth challenge is limited technical understanding. Limited technical understanding. This is the understanding of things like policy documents, budgets, and legislation, because such documents are written in complex legal or technical language, which is inaccessible to the average citizen. And without simplified explanations, citizens cannot meaningfully engage with the substance of what they are being asked to comment on. And that undermines the quality and the relevance of input that is received from the members of the public. Limited technical understanding is a challenge of public participation. We move on to the next challenge, number 5, which is resource and logistical constraints. Resource and logistical constraints. Resource and logistical constraints. Now, how is it a challenge? How is resource and logistical constraints a challenge? It is a challenge because effective participation requires funding for venues, transport, it requires communication, it may require translation, it may require staff time, and many government agencies, especially at county level, may lack sufficient budgets to reach rural or remote populations, which then results into engagements that's concentrated in urban centers and easily accessible to areas, such areas only. Logistical constraints. The members of the public who reside interior in rural areas may not reach these urban centers to participate in discussions. Resource and logistical constraints. Moving on to the 6th challenge. Challenge number 6 is literacy and language barriers. Literacy and language barriers. Language barriers. And this could be a challenge because we may have things like written notices, survey instruments, and even just formal submission processes which assume a level of literacy, and it is often in English language or Kiswahili rather than the local languages, and that excludes citizens who cannot read or who are more comfortable in vernacular languages, particularly in rural and particularly with the older generations or populations. That is a challenge. The 7th challenge is apathy. Apathy and consultation fatigue. Apathy and consultation fatigue. Now, how is apathy and consultation fatigue a challenge of public participation? It is a challenge because when citizens participate repeatedly without seeing their input being reflected in the results or in the outcomes, they become disillusioned and stop attending future forums. Right? Especially when they believe that these public participation forums are only meant for rubber stamping. That erodes both the quantity and quality of engagement over time. It can also create a self-reinforcing cycle of low turnout and diminishing government incentive to consult meaningfully. Let's move on to the next challenge, which is political manipulation and interference. political manipulation and interference. There are times when the politicians may interfere with the public participation process, right? Yes, because participation processes can be deliberately steered by political actors to produce a desired outcome. For example, that can happen by mobilizing supporters to dominate a forum or using participation as a public relations exercise to diffuse opposition rather than to genuinely incorporate public views. And that becomes a big challenge. Point number 9, weak feedback mechanisms. Weak feedback mechanisms. This happens after submitting views or attending forums where citizens, let me put it this way, after submitting views or deliberations or proposals in a public participation forum, citizens are rarely told how their input influenced the final decision. And due to such lack of transparency about outcomes, that breaks the accountability loop and leaves the citizens uncertain whether their participation had any real effect. Because the best way is to ensure that after the decision has been reached, the citizens should be able to know how their input influenced the final outcome. And if their options or their participation or their proposals were not incorporated in the process of coming up with the final policy document, then that again has to be communicated with justifications on why the input was not incorporated. That is, when that happens, that is a strong feedback mechanism. When there is an absence of such kind of arrangement, then that becomes a weak feedback mechanism, and that discourages individuals from future public participation engagements. You understand? Yes. Number 10, digital divide. Digital divide is a challenge that you should always remember, because we are living in a digital era where public participation may take place on digital platforms or forums, and we may also have e-participation tools like portals, like SMS platforms, social media consultations, and that can exclude citizens who have no internet access, who may not have smartphones, or who are not digitally literate. And that disproportionately affects rural areas, the elderly, and the lower income populations. And that is a risk to participation process, which is skewed towards the urban and the connected demographics. So digital divide is a big challenge in the modern digital era. 11, capacity gaps among officials. Capacity gaps among officials, that is yet another problem. Officials here, we are referring to public officers who are tasked with running the participation process. They sometimes lack training in facilitation, training in inclusive engagement techniques, and also lack of training in conflict management, which results in poorly structured forums that fail to draw out genuine input or manage competing interests constructively. So that is all for our today's lesson on challenges of public participation. It is the end, not only to this lesson, but the end of the topic on citizen participation, and we have in this lesson identified 11 challenges of public participation. Number 1, tokenism. Number 2, elite capture. Number 3, poor time engagement. Number 4, limited technical understanding. Number 5, resource and logistical constraints. Number 6, literacy and language barriers. Number 7, apathy and consultation fatigue. Number 8, political manipulation and interference. Number 9, weak feedback mechanisms. Number 10, digital divide. And lastly, capacity gaps among officials. That is all for today's lesson. I hope to meet you in our next session where we continue to share knowledge in public sector governance, policy, and administration. Thank you. Bye-bye.